Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbassi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor, and I'm going to tell you a little secret. And that secret is that before I hit record, I smile at the computer for like at least 15 seconds. And remember, I've always said, like, you put a smile on the outside and a smile will come on the inside. I do it every single time. And it just helps. It perks me up. Not that I'm in a bad mood. I just finished skinning some fish. Those of you who are a part of my network on Facebook, I shared my fish, and I called 2 out of 5 not ripping apart a successful first time skinning fish. So I'm making an Indian dish, which is fried fish, and then it's going to go with some dal. I can't remember what the name of the dal dish is, but it should be pretty good. So that's happening. And today I wanted to get uncomfortable. Let's just get uncomfortable. I wanted to talk about what it was like. And this morning's meeting like opened up talking about so the story is called Empty on the Inside. And as a matter of fact, we had that author of that story come and speak at one of our local, I think it was like the summer picnic this past year, or else it was the holiday. Now I can't remember. And now I want to remember. Anyway, so she came and spoke. That's just a side note. But the story starts out about like, I had arrived, or there's a part in the story where she says, I had arrived. And when I heard that, I was thinking about working at my last job that I had to medically retire from, and how I was like at the peak of reaching my potential. That's what it felt like. And it's such a contrast to where I was. And honestly, there are times that when I sit and think about it, I think about how lucky I am to have achieved that point in my life where I felt like I had arrived, that I was reaching and I was reaching my potential and seeking more. And it's, yeah, such a stark contrast to where I was, emotionally, mentally, and physically. So when I first got to this company where I was working, where I was just working, I guess just isn't a word I can use anymore. It's been a couple years now, which is amazing that I have been gone for a couple years and they're still functioning without me. Go figure, like life keeps moving on without me. I can't believe that. um, Anyway, when I first got there, I was still drinking. I had already gone to detox once, and I had started drinking again during this time that I was interviewing for jobs. And so when I got to this job, I had started drinking again, and I felt like, well, that's okay. Nobody here knows what happened at my last job. Nobody here knows that I have a drinking problem. So when the wine got busted out at 5 o'clock in the evening before everybody was about to go home, I'm like, yeah, I'll have one, and I'll fit in because I'll drink with everybody else. And they didn't know that I couldn't have just one. And I don't think I did when I was sitting in that office and they busted out the red wine, which I don't even, I mean, I'll drink whatever, but red wine wasn't even my favorite. And I certainly made sure I had two before I had to go home. And I was trembling on the inside. I remember that. I remember sitting in that office. Um, and I don't even know if maybe one of the other people had a glass, but other than that, I was the one who was drinking the wine. Um, it's really fascinating to think back at that time and how much I have grown. I had grown at that company since then. And that was a matter of, I guess 8 years that I had gone from that trembling, hiding that nobody here knows that I went to detox to drinking at work to finally um, admitting powerlessness and going back to detox. And wow, it's a lot to think about. And so while I was thinking about all of this morning, I was reminded of a time when it must have been a weekend, or else I had called off work or something. But I was so unable to function that I remember laying in my bed and I was so nauseous. I could not stand up straight. And I couldn't eat, but I couldn't not eat. And I remember just running to the bathroom to throw up. And my mom had come into the house, and she came up into the bedroom and she said, "Rachel, you have to get your shit together," or something like that. You know, nobody realized what was going on. And my daughter was standing in the bedroom entrance and just watching, just watching. And so eventually I had to make that hard decision to go back to detox. And it's like I made the decision to go. I didn't want to go, but I made the decision to go. I asked my mom to drive me. And I remember I had wine in a water bottle on the way to detox, and I was just chugging it because my intention was to finish it before we got there. And I remember my mom like grabbing it from my hands, and I grabbed it back and I drank the whole thing. And I thought it was a joke. I remember kind of laughing and being like, this is it. This is the last time I'm going to be able to drink, so I'm going to finish it. And I can't imagine how angry she was with me. It's kind of a blur. The whole thing is a blur. I don't know if I walked into that place by myself or not. I have no idea. I think I did, but I don't know. But I had to make that decision. And I know it's a hard one. And I've heard so many people on the cusp of getting sober where they have to make that decision whether they're going to go to a treatment center or not. And that decision a lot of times involves leaving kids behind. And of course, planning for that, as I look at it now, I'm like, I had so many people who cared about me around me that would have jumped at the chance to take care of my daughter. My son had already gone off to school and to college, and so many people would have jumped to take care of my daughter so that I could go to rehab. Autumn, sorry. Autumn, quiet. Autumn, quiet. No, no. Quiet. Go lay down. Go lay down. We're doing a podcast. You're interrupting, Autumn. Terrible. It's her fault. Go lay down. Thank you. Okay, I apologize for her. Um, so going to so many people having to leave their children behind in someone else's care in order to go get help. But that decision is so important because without leaving Bailey for 7 days or 6 days to go to detox, I wasn't going to be able to be there for her future, you know? So the first time I went to detox, they put me on a walker and my husband and Bailey came to visit me and I was on a walker and just completely um sick. You know, I was kind of humiliated feeling when they came and I had to meet them in the like, I don't know, the room where we would have AA meetings and group meetings and so they were in there and I had to walk into the room and I'm on a walker. How scary is that for my daughter and my boyfriend at the time who's now my husband? How scary is that to see the effects of removing alcohol from my body? Um, and it wasn't just that way that I was suffering. Like I wasn't taking care. There was no self-care at all. I was not bathing. I was not brushing my teeth. Maybe like once a week I would take a shower or something like that. Like my daily self-care had just completely ceased. And I was really just in a fog. I was not focused on anything except for when I was going to drink. I remember going to the bus stop in the morning and feeling so incredibly hungover. Towards the end, I would start having some some wine before I went to the bus stop. Actually, towards the end, I couldn't even get up on time, so I had to drive my kids to school. It was a mess. I didn't want to drink, but I had to drink. That's what I remember feeling in my head. Like I knew that something was wrong, but I felt like I had to. Like, and I think that's what that book was talking about, the myth of alcoholism, or, I can never remember the name of that book, but how our cells become so addicted to this substance that my body truly believed that I had to drink in order to survive. Once I went to detox for the second time, I reached this, no, the first time, the time that I had been on a walker and everything, I was sober for about 2 months. And then I thought, I mean, the craving never went away. And I was like, I'm not going to not drink forever. I can't do that. Eventually I will. And so I just drank. I was like, why suffer if I'm not doing this forever? Um, and what I thought of this morning is that we can go to as many AA meetings as you want. You can get a sponsor, you can go to addiction therapist, you can listen to podcasts, you can join sober social media groups and all that stuff. You can educate yourself, for years on sobriety, but it's a matter of doing it. That's how you get sober. Knowing what to do is not what gets you sober. It's doing it. You know, education without action is is not going to get you sober. And unfortunately, what I was also reminded of this morning is there are a lot of really, really smart drunks, really, really smart drunks. And the problem with alcoholism that a lot of the really, really smart drunks don't realize is that you can't think your way out of it. Sobriety is not something, and I'm not talking about not picking up a drink. You cannot pick up a drink and be miserable. And you cannot pick up a drink and feel enormously fulfilled, more than you ever have before. Um, Finding a new side of yourself that you always thought you were an introvert, you're actually an extrovert. You know, you can figure that stuff out, but that takes the steps. And another unfortunate occurrence is that a lot of the really, really smart drunks, um, and I'm trying not to generalize, it just happens a lot that a lot of really, really smart drunks um, are not able to get past steps 2 and 3. And that inhibits someone from getting to those steps that where we learn about ourselves, where we're able to find another side of ourselves that we didn't know existed, you know? Um, and I see that all the time. I see it all the time. Um, and I don't know what the solution is for that. Um, it's really humility is the solution. And it's really hard to get past that wall that I mean for me it was a prison, really. It was more than a wall. It was just I had self-constructed this prison around me that I kept thinking I could figure out how to get out of it. You know, like one of those escape rooms. It's like I had an escape room. I was in an escape room and I was trying to outsmart it and I couldn't figure it out. It wasn't until I just completely, like I talked about yesterday, threw up my hands and I was like, I can't do I give up. You know, I can't do it on my own. Um, and it wasn't until I fully did that I stopped making these little negotiations with myself, you know, like without like I had to start taking all suggestions and stop picking and choosing what I was going to do. The first time I got out of detox, I felt like, you know, I'm a little smarter than a lot of these people here. So I probably don't need to go to a therapist. I probably don't need to go to a meeting every day. I don't need to do the 90/90. You know, I was picking and choosing the suggestions that I felt like were what I needed in order to stay sober, to not pick up a drink. I wasn't looking past that. I just couldn't, I wasn't able to see that sobriety was not just physical sobriety, it was also emotional sobriety. And I was trying to control my environment still. Without the wine, I was still feeling like I was in control. And I really had to like take my hands off the wheel. I had to and surrender that illusion of control that I was really in control of anything. I wasn't in control of people, places, and things, and I certainly wasn't in control of my craving to drink. So going to detox was the first step to becoming physically sober. Um, and that along with some medication that I took shut off the cravings for me. But it wasn't until the second time. The first time I got out of detox, just removing the alcohol did not shut off the cravings. It was the second time that I went to detox and I decided it did what I did last time didn't work. So I'm gonna have to take every suggestion now. And that was when the cravings stopped. Um, I, at that point, just had this, I had to remove myself from my habits, like I had to do action in order to silence those urges. So if I was walking into a grocery store, I did not go down the alcohol aisle. For a long time, I didn't go down the alcohol aisle. To this day, I still will. I mean, I don't go to the grocery store now because of my disability. Um, but when I do, I still avoid the alcohol aisle. Um, Especially if I rarely go to the grocery store. The last thing I'm going to do is go down the alcohol aisle, the wine aisle, or the beer aisle, or anything like that, because that helps me with my emotional detox, my mental cravings. It it shows me that I am in control. I don't have to put myself near um, in a situation that makes me think about alcohol. I don't have to do it. So these little tiny steps are implementing a long-term type of surrender. Um, and then whenever I felt like I didn't know what to do, what kind of action can I do right now? Like, I don't know. Thanksgiving is coming up and there's going to be wine there. What do? I want to hang out with my family, but there's going to be wine there. And that's when I once again keep my hands off the wheel, keep my arms open, and bring in help, like I talked about yesterday, and be ready to figure out, maybe my role is going to change a little bit in what I do on Thanksgiving Day. Maybe I'm going to be in the kitchen helping cook a little more and less sitting in front of the TV watching football with all the dudes drinking beer. I mean, that's just an example. But in this way, I am I'm allowing others into my recovery, and it's not something that I'm just doing on my own. I had to make changes in my life, big freaking changes. I've heard so many times you don't have to change. What is it? You don't have to change. All you have to change is everything. That's how the saying goes. All you have to don't worry. All you have to change is everything. And that's what I had to do. I had to change everything. I had to change what I did, all of my routines, my my drive into work, what roads I took, because for a while there, I was stopping for a long while. I was stopping on the way into work for alcohol. I was stopping on the way home for alcohol. And I was going out for lunch and drinking alcohol. And if I wanted to live differently, I had to be different. My Rachel version 1.0 did not fit into a sober life. I had to build my life around sobriety. I had to put my sobriety first. And that's also difficult when you're first getting sober to understand that sobriety comes first. It's hard to say that when you've got kids. That's the first thing for me that comes to mind. When I have kids, I'm like, no, my kids come first. Well, they can't. Sobriety has to come first so that I can be the best version of me for my kids. And that's when, as I continued to put sobriety first, I was reaching my potential. Like if I put sobriety first, it's like all of that other stuff just came to fruition for me. Everything else was like catching up. And it was not the end. Sobriety was not the end. It was the beginning of my life. Um, it feels like a whole new life that I'm living. And I have to, I can't just know how to stay sober. I have to do it every day. I have to take action every day from the time that I wake up in the morning and my alarm goes off and my puppies are killing me with kisses to when they cuddle up with me and go to bed. Because now they're sleeping with me. I don't know. I got weak. They were sleeping in their crates for a really long time for a couple years, and now they're sleeping with me. So anyway, I have to take action from beginning to end in my day, and that's how I continue to reach my full potential. And my full potential has changed, right? In stroke recovery and vestibular recovery, my potential has changed, but I wouldn't be able to know that if I didn't continue to put my sobriety first. My sobriety has to come before stroke recovery, even. And that's how I've been able to apply these principles to all of my affairs because it always is first of mind. So, thank you so much for joining me today and showing up for yourself. And I will talk to you tomorrow.